community a better place while offering.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
And just want to make a note. Although Mr. Sheriff Boyd's opponent did drop out of the race for sheriff, he is listed as a candidate for office. So we still have to give the disclaimer: KLK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office, nor was any compensation provided for this interview. This interview is provided for informational purposes only. But since your opponent did drop out of the race, we're going to kind of focus the conversation a little differently. We're going to kind of talk about the sheriff's office itself, some of the duties that you do as sheriff, how the sheriff's department operates, and
how you interact with the Jonesboro Police Department.
and things like that. So we're going to,
Okay.
we have Chief Elliott on all the time, and he talks about what JPD does. So we're going to switch it up and talk about what the Craighead County Sheriff's Department does.
Well, like I said, I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk about the sheriff's office. It's a pretty special place to me, and nothing I'd rather do than share about it and let people understand exactly what we do and how we do things.
Okay, well, can you give the listeners and viewers a little bit of background about yourself and how long you have actually served as sheriff of Craighead County?
I can. I'm a lifelong resident here of Craighead County. I went to Jonesboro schools.
Okay.
After that, I knew I wanted to be in law enforcement early in life, and when I was 21 years old, I started with the Craighead County Sheriff's Office Detention Center.
Okay.
I went to work as a detention officer first. Worked there for about 12 months, and I was transferred over to the sheriff's office as a deputy sheriff.
Okay.
So held many titles, throughout the years, from lieutenant to captain, assistant chief deputy, and then was elected as sheriff for Craighead County in 2013, where I've been serving since. So total, I've got almost 26 years in law enforcement.
Wow.
I spent all of it at Craighead County, and one thing I always tell people when we talk about it is I started there as a detention officer, and so I tell everybody I've done everything from sweep the floors to run the budget. So
wow.
It's a neat thing knowing that I started at the ground level, and and by the grace of God and the good people of this county, they elected me as their sheriff.
All right, and we thank you for your many years of service to Craighead County.
And I imagine that your story can definitely be an inspiration to others in your department to say, hey, you started from the bottom and work your way up to the top. So, Sheriff Boyd, what made you decide back in 2013, I believe you said it was, to run for sheriff?
Well, current sheriff at that time was Jack McCann. He was a great mentor of mine, without a doubt. Learned many things about it. But, I have a passion to serve the people of this county. And I knew when he retired, I knew that, God put me in this place to run for sheriff and take over at that time. I really, felt that it was the right decision for me and the right decision for the department and the people of Craighead County. Me and my wife, we prayed about it several times. And like I said, I had a very good peace at heart knowing that this was where I was supposed to be.
Okay.
All right, and a question that I asked you off the air, and I'm going to now ask you on the air is, okay, the major difference between a sheriff and a police chief is a police chief is appointed by the mayor, who is elected by the citizens, but you are actually elected directly by the citizens. And of course, a lot of people may remember the old gangster movies with the sheriff, on the horse and the badge and the 6-shooter and whatnot. But do you actually have to be a certified law enforcement officer to be elected sheriffs? Because you look at it, and imagine it's something that people are wondering about.
Right. At the present time in Arkansas, you do not. A sheriff could be elected that is not currently certified officer. Once he's elected, he would have that opportunity to go to the police academy and become certified.
Okay.
But the law does not say they have to right now. We are, as far as we as the Sheriff's Association of Arkansas, we are looking at legislation to change that right now to where you would have to be certified, not prior to, but once you're elected, then you would have to go. A sheriff would have to go to the police academy and become a certified officer at that time.
But I imagine that would be an interesting situation where, let's say that happens, someone comes in and then they get certified and become a police officer, and now they have authority over veterans who have been officers for 10, 20 plus years. Imagine probably be kind of hard to earn those people's respect.
It could be very possible. And I know currently, I think throughout the state, I can't think of a sheriff that is not certified.
Okay.
So, that's a good thing, without a doubt that they have been through school and training and things like that. So, but it is possible.
So Sheriff Boyd, what are some of the other differences between a sheriff and a police chief?
Really, like I said, the main difference is what you said, is that a sheriff is elected, but one of the other things the sheriff's biggest responsibility is probably the jail. The sheriff runs,
every now and then to walk the unit to see, just gonna check up on your deputies to see, make sure they're doing their job.
I do. Luckily, our offices are connected.
Okay.
My office is at the county jail.
Okay.
So, I like it that way because it gives me an opportunity to interact, daily with my employees, plus, be in the jail and see what's going on myself and things like that.
Okay. And then some other things we talked about off air. I was wondering, do deputies have the authority to make arrests and traffic stops and things of that nature?
They do. Deputy sheriffs and policemen basically do the same jobs.
Okay.
We have different responsibilities than policemen sometimes. We, as far as the sheriff's office goes and deputies, we serve a lot of civil process, which would be anything from divorce papers to notice of lawsuits to eviction notices.
Okay.
We do a lot of that, but at the same time, a deputy has full jurisdiction in Craig County to make traffic stops, make arrests on anything like that.
Now, do you all focus on a lot of traffic stops in any part of the county, or do you kind of leave that more to the city departments?
Well, we do. Actually, leaving it to the city departments. We try to let the municipalities take care of themselves, of course, on that. We struggle with manpower issues just like so many other agencies and departments in Craig County. If we have a problem in the county, that we're aware of with traffic and speeding, talked to a man this week that he would like some cars to slow down in his area, and so we're working north of Jonesboro right now, trying to slow some traffic down and things like that. So we do, but we have a lot of responsibilities out in the county that takes precedence over traffic enforcement, I guess I should say sometimes.
When you say county, like we've been talking to other people that are running for various offices that are considered Cricket County offices, so like Lake City, Caraway, Black Rock, or is it Black Oak? Black Oak, and like other little surrounding cities. So do you all patrol or monitor like those cities as well?
We do. We assist. We're not the primary call takers for the municipalities that have their own police force. Black Oak does not have a police force right now, so we are the primary response for Black Oak. But Caraway, Monette, Lake City, Bono, Brooklyn, Bay, they all have their own departments, and so we're assisting agency to them if they need help with anything. We're there.
Speaking with Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd, and if you have a question or a comment for Sheriff Boyd, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can call or text your questions or your comments. You can also post them on our Facebook live stream. We got a shout out for you, Sheriff Boyd, from Jeff Wisham, and he says, "Go Marty."
I appreciate that, Jeff.
Yeah.
So you probably got some of your people listening in.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jeff, for tuning in. He was our guest yesterday. Okay, so we before we also talked about a topic called inter-office agreement.
Yes, that's a mutual aid agreement that departments have with one another. Here in Craighead County, all the municipalities that we just talked about a little bit there, we've all came together and signed a mutual aid agreement where if any department needs assistance or help, any department or any policeman has any time of need or emergency,
Okay. And another question I asked you, and I think we both kind of chuckled. Has there ever been anyone that's gone through the police training and then they decide, I don't want to do this. I'm going to move over to the sheriff's department?
Yeah, we don't see a whole lot, but we have seen it before.
Okay.
Of course. The biggest thing we do that we've seen is people getting in the business and thinking about, it's a cool job to have. Really neat, fun, all the above, and then they get in it for 6 months, and they learn what all is involved, and they decide that this might not be the best choice in their career path. We all know we didn't get in this business to get rich, anything like that. You have to have a true passion to want to serve people, and protect and serve. That's what we do, and that's what you got to have in your heart to do this.
And you mentioned earlier that you said you had some manpower issues. I know one of the things when Chief Elliott does it when he comes in here is talk about police have testing site, or how does the hiring process work if someone wanted to become a sheriff's deputy?
Right. We don't have a testing cycle. We actually hire off application. So
applications are taken year round.
Year round, they are. They're taken year round and held and went through. As far as deputy sheriffs go, we hire mostly from our detention office. So what I like to see is someone that's interested in this business, apply and go to work for a detention center.
Okay.
That gives a great training opportunity to them to learn about this business, learn the people we deal with, because most of them's going to be in jail at some point,
Yes.
Unfortunately, and so it's for them to learn and train and see law enforcement from that side, and it gives my department a great insight on hiring that person over as a deputy sheriff, because we've watched them and seen the work ethic and saw how they've done their business.
Do you have any openings right now, either for a deputy sheriff or at the detention center?
We hired one yesterday in the detention center, and I think that might have filled us up at that point. I don't have anything for the sheriff's office right now, but I want anyone that feels that this is their calling to please apply, because we're always looking for good people.
And could you give the website or other information in which people could contact you if they do have an interest in the sheriff's department?
Sure. You can download an application for the sheriff's office on it's www.cricketcountyso.org.
It's cricketcountyso.org.
Yes.
You have interest in the sheriff's department. Now, of course, on the JPD side, a big issue was the police salaries. Are you having any kind of issues with salaries or retaining deputies and detention center staff because of salary issues, or is everything pretty good on that end? Well,
we have our shortfalls, without a doubt. I think our pay is very fair across the board. We kind of have the same issue as Jonesboro PD, except in a reverse role, if that makes sense. We start out at a very competitive wage. I can start an officer, a detention officer, or deputy, very competitive for the state. Our biggest problem and hurdle that we get through is after that person's there for 10 years, there's no way to really move up that much. We have a rank structure that, so we're such a small force that our rank structure is very small, actually.
And what is that rank structure?
We have 4 sergeants through the sheriff's office, 3 lieutenants, and 2 captains that a deputy can work into at some time. The problem is that one example would be our sergeants. They're not going to work. They're not going to have days off on the weekends because their lieutenant's going to be off that, so they're going to have to be on. So if someone is going to move to sergeant, it's very possible they could have been on weekends off as a deputy sheriff, and then get promoted to sergeant and get that weekends taken away from them, and actually pays about $1,800 more. And that's it.
So I guess they got to figure out, is it worth it to them?
Correct. And that's an issue, where I want to work on getting those rank structures built up a little bit better, where it is really worth someone looking at to go to.
Okay. Have you ever had anyone that was eligible for that position, and they, even though the pay increase is favorable, they decided just because of maybe the weekends, they decided I don't want to do that.
We have had that happen, unfortunately,
no.
where someone was in line for it. Someone tested and made it there, and then decided that they wanted to stay where they're at because the money just wasn't enough.
All right, let's talk about the organization of the sheriff's department. With the police department, they have the patrol division, they have criminal investigations, they may have a drug task force, K9 unit, SWAT. Does the sheriff's department have similar divisions? What divisions are in the Craighead County Sheriff's Department?
We do. We have patrol division. We also have our criminal investigation department. We have a school resource. We have also for search and rescue that the police department doesn't have. So we assist that in anything from evidence recovery to unfortunately a missing person or something like that.
And y'all have a K9 unit?
We do. We have two. We have two K9 units to the county.
And y'all also got that big military brown thing. I don't know what it is, but I just remember seeing pictures of it, and it has sheriff on the side of it. What is that thing?
It's called an MRAP. Is the official name of that. It's an armored vehicle, basically is what it is. It's a big vehicle without a doubt, and very intimidating. We had the opportunity to buy that through Department of Defense. It's a $750,000 vehicle, and we were able to obtain it for $5,000. And we used drug forfeiture money to purchase it, so no tax dollars were spent on that.
So, what do y'all use it for? I think y'all may have broke it out the time they had the standoff on campus, but
We did.
But what would be a situation in which you would use it?
Any kind of SWAT call out where there's not cover available. That's the main purpose for that vehicle, is to allow officers to safely stage an area close to where a standoff could be happening, but remain protected under that armored vehicle. That's the main purpose of that.
I'm sure bullets will easily bounce off of it.
It makes the officer feel very safe, without a doubt, knowing that they're sitting in that vehicle. In my past, I've worked several standoffs and places like that in the middle of the cotton field, where you had no cover, no protection, or anything for 400 or 500 yards. And so that vehicle was very important to me to obtain, to be able to protect my officers, because the last thing that I want to know is that I had an officer injured that I couldn't do anything about.
Okay.
All right, we got a call.
Okay.
Kaylee K.
Good morning.
Hey, Miss Farrell.
Hello,
Sheriff Boyd.
is it Marty?
Yes, it
Sheriff
is.
Marty? Okay. Good morning to you too. I was going to ask on the vehicle that y'all was talking about just a while ago, the armored vehicle. Do you give tours on that to kids at school or people that want to see how that looks inside and all, or is it just kind of off guard for everybody?
Yeah, we actually do take it several places. Matter of fact, this weekend it will be. It's scheduled to be somewhere Saturday, and I can't remember exactly where right now.
I would like to look at that and get up inside of it and see just what it's all about.
That'd be great, and we'd love to be able to show it to you. We've had it at Walmart for our toy drive, where we gave tours. I know 2 weeks ago it was at NEA Hospital at Touch a Truck Drive. And I said it's scheduled Saturday to be out, and I can't tell you right now. I wish I could, but
We'll
I
get
can't
that
remember.
information for you.
Okay, well just call back the radio station. They'll give it to me because I want to look at it.
Okay, that'd be great.
I might want to drive it.
No, man, no.
Is it an automatic shift or what is it?
It is automatic shift, actually.
Oh, yeah, drive it.
I tell you what, it's going to be at Valley View Fall Festival this weekend.
Valley View Fall Festival?
Valley View Fall Festival is where it's
Well,
scheduled
I
to be.
want when it's in Jonesboro because I don't think I'll be going to Valley View this weekend, but it'll be around some more. You can
Okay, it will.
Let's let you know. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Farrell.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. And we're going to get ready to go to break. When we come back from break, we're going to continue our conversation with Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd, and we're going to talk about some of the things that the Sheriff's Department is doing in the community. So keep your radios locked. You're listening to KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Men, want to have a better relationship with your wife? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Every couple will face difficulty and disagreements. One of the best remedies for marriage conflict is marriage communication. Asking great questions and listening to your wife's answers is so important to having a better relationship. So here are 10 questions to ask your wife every year. First, ask, what do you think is going right in our relationship? Positive affirmation will encourage both you and your spouse. Next, ask, where would you like our relationship to be this time next year? There's always room for improvement, so be honest in sharing how you both want your relationship to grow. Remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Facebook? You can at facebook.com/Mark Merrill.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook.
KLEK 102.5 FM and Massey Productions presents the inspirational gospel stage play, What Don't Kill Me Makes Me Stronger, a story of three sisters challenged to cope with cancer, drugs, and rape that will inspire you, renew, and reaffirm your faith. 2 shows, 6 and 8:30 p.m., Friday, October the 14th, during A-State Homecoming Weekend at the Epic Center, 1899 County Road 333, Hasbrook Road in Jonesboro. Tickets are $10 in advance, $20 at the door, and can be purchased at www.klekfm.org or by calling 870-277-1080. Bring the entire family Friday, October the 14th during A-State Homecoming Weekend to the Epic Center to see What Don't Kill Me Makes Me Stronger, the inspirational gospel stage play. 2 shows, 6 and 8:30 p.m. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
New St. John Missionary Baptist Church Pastors Aid Committee presents a fish fry fundraiser Sunday, October 9th at the church located at 308 North Main Street in Jonesboro. The time is 1 o'clock p.m. The deadline to pre-order plates is September 24th. The plates include 3 pieces of fish, choice of 2 sides, dessert, and drink. More information is available at the church at 870-932-6915.
Lame excuses and other forms of voter apathy have no place in American democracy. Show that you care, do your duty, and go vote. This is a reminder from Cheryl Underwood Radio.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK. Our special guest today is Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd. He is taking your calls and taking your comments and questions at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can call or text your questions, or you can also post them on our Facebook live stream. And we do have another Facebook shout out to Gail Raspberry.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Gail, for checking in. Alrighty, so before we went to break, Legansy was asking you about community involvement, and I know that you said that with the Sheriff's Department, you're kind of low in number, and you have a lot of area to cover. So can you tell the listeners and viewers how much area you actually have to cover with how many officers?
I can. Craighead County consists of 712 square miles.
Okay.
And out of that, we have many gravel roads and things that we cover, and I have 35 certified officers.
Okay.
So when you divide that between 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, time off, sick days, and things like that, we work with some low numbers sometimes, unfortunately.
So, is there any possibility that the numbers could be increased? Would that take the quorum court to authorize more positions?
It does. We work through budget every year with the quorum court, and when we're able to see some money where it's going to be available, we can increase those numbers. 2 years ago, we actually got 3 officers from the quorum court, allowed us to hire 3 additional officers. So, they've been good to work with us.
So does the money come through resident taxes or grants or?
It could be both. You know, most of our budget items are through tax base.
Okay.
But you know, at certain years we have been able to receive some grants to add people. But you always have to look at, you know, a grant's going to run out at some point.
Yeah.
So you always have to be careful to make sure that you're not going to put yourself, your department, or the county in a position where they have to lay someone off. You know, when the grant runs out. Maybe.
Okay.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, well, off air we were talking about, you know, how does your family feel about, you said you've been in this position like over 20 something, well, you've been working for the sheriff's office for over, 26 years?
Yeah, almost 26 years. Yeah.
What are some concerns your family has expressed to you?
You know, I think it's the concerns that a lot of us have. You know, I know law enforcement, we know going into this job that it's a dangerous job, especially in the last, you know, year and a half, 2 years, we've seen it escalate, you know, where it's become more dangerous maybe. So, you know, there's been times that we've had to sit down as a family and talk about some of the concerns, you know, what can happen, you know, what if something happens, you know, things to do. My wife is my greatest supporter, without a doubt. You know, the old saying that behind any man there's a great woman, that's definitely true in my case. I have a great woman behind me that supports me. And, you know, she's had several concerns throughout the years, but she's been able to pray about it, work it out, and talk about it. And at the end of the day, she knows that, you know, God's going to take care of us.
All right.
All right. We are speaking with Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd. This was a question that I asked Chief Elliott. So does the Craighead County Sheriff Department have any community-oriented policing? Is that the model that you guys use? And also, what racial sensitivity training does the Sheriff's Department employ, both for the deputies as well as the people at the...
Right. As far as community organizing or organization policing, we do not have a program or a template that we follow on that. One of the biggest hurdles that we have on that is just what we were talking about, the square mileage that we cover versus the number of officers that we have. We have a great makeup of officers throughout the county that live in different areas. And I look at that as a part of community policing, that, you know, that the residents know, you know, who that deputy is that lives there, things like that. We have several programs that we do annually that is a reach out to the community.
Okay.
We have a food drive every year. This past year, we raised over 13,000 meals for the food bank during our the Craighead County Food Drive. We have a toy drive every November that we assist in the community to get toys where we need to get them to. Last year, I was overwhelmed at what a success it was, and we filled up two, I think 20-foot enclosed trailers actually with toys.
That's wonderful.
So there's several things that we do like that every year. We talked about Touch a Truck a couple of weeks ago. So we view that as a community organized event that we can get out where just people know us and we know them. They know we're here to help.
Okay.
As far as the racial training, anything like that, we actually we once a year every officer trains and goes through a training class on racial diversity and try to make that barrier greater, stronger for us to.
If you notice something within your department, you notice someone's behavior that is not suitable, or I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
If you notice one of your deputies' behavior is questionable,
okay.
Do you pull them to the side, say, okay, you know, I've noticed that you've been acting a certain way, maybe whether it was a race issue or
I
whatever.
guess how would you address an issue of an officer complaint? What would the process be for the Sheriff's Department?
It is anytime we get a complaint, we review that every time. And first step would be just trying to investigate looking at car camera video if something happened, any kind of recordings. We just recently purchased body cams through the sheriff's office, so we'll have that tool to look at too. So we try to learn as much as we can about it, and then sit down with that officer if we find that there is factual basis to that complaint. Several steps to take at that point, whether it's a reprimand, versus retraining in issues, and then of course there's a possibility of termination for wrongdoing.
Okay, so you really try to give the deputy, the employee, the benefit of the doubt to correct their behavior.
If it's something that we can correct, and we feel that that officer is a good officer that just needs correction or is worth putting more training into or something like for correction, we definitely will.
Okay.
If we feel that that the actions of that deputy was far and beyond what we can retrain for or something like that, I said, unfortunately, there's termination there.
Okay. And I know we talked earlier about the process that someone has to go through. Basically it's an application process. Do you do an extensive background check and reference check on that person before they're even called in for an interview?
Not before an interview.
Okay.
Most time. What we do is once we have interviewed and have several strong applicants, at that point we do background investigation. We actually have officers trained in that background department, and that's what they do. Go out and go through anything from banking records to neighborhood friends to old family to school teachers. So it's very extensive. Yeah.
Oh wow, banking records. What would be the purpose? I'm just asking because I've heard that term before with other jobs that they look at your financial records. Correct. So what is the purpose of that?
The purpose of that is, I think, several different reasons. One is if someone is in very severe financial needs, that person is more apt to not be a good employee. As far as, especially in this line where the officer would have opportunity maybe to steal money in a certain situation. It lessens that role. Where if they're in good financial background, I think it lessens that a little bit.
Okay, I understand.
Once again, we are speaking with Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd, and if you have a question or a comment, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also leave your comment or your question on our Facebook live stream. Now, we'll kind of bring it back just for a minute to the campaign. You are running for re-election, although your opponent has dropped out. So if you are elected to another term as sheriff, which I guess I remember Kate Holliday says that if the other candidate were to somehow still win, even though he has withdrawn, then it'd be a special process and a whole bunch of other stuff. But assuming we're just gonna go with the assumption you get another term, what are some of the things that you hope to do moving forward for the department?
A couple of things we've already talked about, and one is manpower. It's a constant struggle that we work on. We work on it every year, how to improve the services throughout the county, and a lot of that is through obtaining more manpower to be able to serve the citizens better. I do want to fix some of our payroll structure that we have issues with. That's one of the things moving forward that I think is important to retain officers, and also we want to make sure that we pay that officer for the job he's doing, and we never want an officer not to get paid for the services that he does fairly for Craighead County. There's many things that I look at in the future that I want to obtain for Craighead County, but at the same time we also have to make sure that we stay within our budget for Craighead County and we don't put our tax base at odds trying to fund different things that's not feasible at the time. One thing I'm very proud of is with the Craighead County Detention Office, and is that our detention officers have a great training program, and I think we lead the state in a number of hours that we're able to give our detention officers training, and it just makes for a more professional office, and I think it helps on lawsuit ends on that part, and so therefore it's a savings to Craighead County.
Okay. And how many hours or weeks of training do your detention officers have to go through?
They actually go through a 40-hour class to become a certified detention officer. Okay. But after that point, a detention officer is pretty much done with their training at 40 hours. Here in Craig County, we have detention officers that train 8 hours every month on top of that 40 hours. And like I said, we're one of the few agencies that require that.
Now let's talk about the jail. You said that's one of the things that you do. You oversee the jail. How is the jail organized as far as departments?
It is jail. We have 3 main parts, you would say. One is male population, female population, and then juvenile population. So we have detention officers that are assigned to those areas. Juvenile is kind of unique, where actually, if someone works in the juvenile department, they can't even be over and associated with the male side or with the adult side at that time. So it has to run almost as 2 separate entities, but it's the same place and the same building. So it's a unique situation.
Now on the juvenile side, do they offer classes for students or for youth to get their GED, get some education so that they can try to turn their life around when they get out and serve their sentence?
We do. Jonesboro Public Schools actually has on-staff teachers at our juvenile facility. So they have classes every day just like you're in school, and they're required. So we have a little bit of better motivation to make someone go to class sometimes. It's a good thing that we've seen in the past several months, where it seems like juvenile is going to detention is one of the last resorts that's being used now, which I think is a good thing. Is that we can get that juvenile early in life and get him in some programs outside of detention or something like that get him get him in school more, paying attention more. I think that just means we're not going to be seeing them on the adult side as much.
Is there a section or a program in place to deal with like the more violent offenders, like solitary, or what about inmates that may have mental issues? Or how are those dealt with at the jail?
Yeah, that's something that's been in the media a lot lately, as far as the mental side of the mental treatment that we see in jail. I've been working very hard, statewide, trying to get the state to give us some other options other than locking someone up when they have a mental health issue going on. I think it's very important. I just think it's the right thing to do. Morally, I don't feel right because someone has a mental health problem. That the only option that we have right now is to put them in jail.
So what are some of those options that you have pushed for instead of doing that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is a crisis intervention unit, which would be a separate unit not connected to law enforcement. It would be ran through other entities through the state, but it would give us what the crisis intervention unit would do would be you could take someone there that you felt or you saw that was having a mental health crisis at the time, take them there to that unit. It's a stabilization unit where they could get them on some medication and get them back on medication if they haven't been taking it, and then not ever enter the judicial system at that point. It would just be there. And I think many states are doing that right now. Arkansas is one of the very few that don't, and I think that's one of our downfalls right now, is that we really need to look at this program and get going.
Okay. Well, again, you mentioned those individuals with mental health issues and other issues that might not deem them necessary to go to the facility. Do you have social workers in place or mental health workers in place, say at the courts, that can take them on? Or if the individual still has to go to somewhere like CYS or some other facility, do you still set them up with a social worker or a caseworker of some type?
We don't every time.
Okay.
We do have on-staff mental health. It's provided by Mid-South Health Systems here in Craig County. Different counties are different, but our provider is Mid-South Health. They're under contract with the state to provide mental health services. Once they get in contact with a caseworker with Mid-South, I think then they're put in the process of getting in contact with some other people like social work, and to to find out what more help is out there, basically. But at the same time, and I hate to say it, but I do know there's people that fall through the cracks, that we don't get the help that they need there.
All right, and we have Ms. Farrell calling back. KLEK.
Okay. Good morning again. I have one more question. I had to call you while it's probably not what you talked about while it's on my mind, because if I don't, I'll forget it. But the question I have is, when people get out of jail, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they have to walk from there, we all know where it is. If you have police officers, I'm told, that drive by and they won't even pick them up. And I know it's not their duty to pick them up, but do you think that's a safe thing to do? I don't know if I know it's men, because I've known some that have done it. I don't know about the women, if they let them out like that and just, I know it's not their job to pick them up or to take them out there unless to take them out. I know they take them out there because they've done something wrong. But do you think it would hurt to pick them up that time of morning and give them a ride into town if they're coming that way?
No, it doesn't hurt, and I know it's been done several times where officers have picked someone up. Now, one of the problems you have there, if an officer is coming towards the facility, they're with a prisoner most of the time, so they don't have the opportunity to pick someone. Yeah, when they leave, they could be heading to the next call, and that's that's one of the problems that we have. Sometimes people see an officer drive by something, where someone even could have a flat tire, and they're like, that officer didn't stop. Well, what they don't know is that officer's heading to another call already been dispatched.
Yeah, I realize
and things
that
like
when you're doing the job, but like I said, when you're leaving the jail and they're going right on by, you're going into town, because it's out there in the wilderness and everything's up.
Well, maybe Ms.
I know that's a part of the process. When you get out there, you got to get back the best way you can. When you get out, and a lot of times they might not even want to ride back. They might want to ride back.
Well, Ms.
I
Farrell,
don't know, but I don't think it's such a safe thing.
Well, Ms. Farrell, a possible solution may be to contact the city council.
That's all I was going to just ask about that.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Farrell.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, a possible solution that Ms. Farrell is maybe contacting either City Hall or the Quorum Court, maybe working out a contract with a local cab company that could provide them a ride home. That just may be an option. Something you want to explore, to contact the Quorum Court or the Jonesboro City Council.
Okay.
We are speaking with Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd. He is here in the studio with you. And if you want to call like Ms. Farrell did, once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can call or you can text your questions or your comments. You can also post them on our live stream. We'll be back. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. You've created your household budget, also known as a spending plan, and you're sticking to it. Great. But what would you do if your income were suddenly reduced by 10%, 20%, 50%, or even 100%? Job loss, salary cuts, or disability can happen to any of us at any time. That's why now is a good time to build a hardship budget. Just take your current household budget and decide what expenses you'd cut and how extra income could be generated if your income was cut by 30%. Examples of adjustments you might make range from foregoing travel and dining out and becoming a committed coupon clipper to more drastic changes, such as trading in your car for an older, less expensive model, taking on a second job, or renting a room to a boarder. Other cuts may include that gym membership. The measures you might take may be distasteful or even painful, but planning your hardship budget in advance will be worth it. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
The Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers of Fullness of Joy Church, 3307 Ray Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401.
The City of Jonesboro Civil Service Commission will be testing for the position of entry-level firefighter. Applications are available at the Human Resources Department located at City Hall, 300 South Church Street, Suite 100, Jonesboro, Arkansas. The qualifications are candidates must be a United States citizen, possess a high school diploma or GED, be a minimum of 21 years of age, a maximum age of 34 years of age as required by Arkansas law, no felony convictions. Applicants are also required to possess a valid driver's license, pass a written exam, a physical agility test, a drug screen, medical exam, and a comprehensive background check, including a polygraph test. The City of Jonesboro is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information is available at 870-933-4640. Applications will be available through October 14th, 2016.
The key to our representative form of American democracy is the right to vote. When you cast a ballot on Election Day, you make America stronger. Now is the time to register. Election Day will soon be here. Do your part and vote. This is a reminder from Cheryl Underwood Radio.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, the North Point Church of Christ will host a food giveaway for families in need every third Saturday from 8 o'clock a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m. The address to the church is 500 Pepper Drive in Jonesboro. In addition, they conduct a Bible study Thursdays at noon with brown bag lunches given away. More information is available at 870-530-1542.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations with our guest, Craighead County Sheriff Marty Boyd, and we've been having a great and lively discussion all throughout the hour. And off the air, we was talking about the jail, and so I'm going to ask this question now. Are jail tours offered for people in the community?
They are. We set up jail tours for several groups and different entities quite often. We were talking about the CPA, which is a great program, and they get to do a tour. But if you have an organization or a company that's interested in taking a tour, you're welcome to call the Craig County Detention Center, and we'll do our best to set that up.
And what's the number to the center?
It is 870-933-4526.
Okay.
And then you have extensions from there, but it'll record and tell you how to get there.
Okay. So if you're interested in taking a tour or taking your group, reach out to the Craighead County Sheriff's Office.
All right, we have a Facebook question. This comes from Molly Spencer. Sheriff Boyd, what are your views on the medical cannabis? You know, they have two ballot things on there right now. Obviously, you know, I'm sure right now, since it's illegal, you know, you have to enforce it. But if it were to one of these were to pass and become legalized, what would your views be on enforcement and just the issue in general?
Issue in general, I can, personally say that, I'm against legalizing marijuana myself. I think there's several reasons why I feel that way. One of the biggest issues is the greatest rise in illegal drugs that we've seen is prescription medication in the last several years, and especially with our young people. It's out of control, and like I said, it's the biggest rise in illegal drugs. So legalizing marijuana puts that under another curtain of we can't control our prescription drugs right now, so how can we control marijuana at the same time? I also feel that marijuana is a drug that leads to someone to want to try other drugs at that point. I've talked to thousands of drug addicts in my career, and and I'm repeating what they've told me. On that is that they started out with marijuana and they increased to different drugs from that point. So I personally am against legalization of it. If the people of Arkansas decide to legalize it, I'm going to have to wait and see what those laws are, and we will definitely follow the laws of the state.
Okay.
And if you have a question, just like that lady did, all you got to do is, once again, give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can call or text your question, or you can also post it on our Facebook live stream, and we will read it on the air. It works just that easy.
Alrighty. So I want to ask you a question again that we talked about off the air.
Okay.
And there's some other people that I've spoken with that had the same question about the Beyond Scared Straight or Scared Straight type programs. And so can you tell the people that are listening or watching, your views or why that's probably not possible?
Yeah, the biggest thing, I do like the program. I've looked at it, and personally, I don't know how many kids it's changed around, but it's had to change several, without a doubt. But it'd be very difficult for us to do it here in this area, just the way the detention center is set up for the juvenile side, with the laws of the state being different than where this program does, and it goes back to the manpower issues, where it'd just be very difficult, at this present time to do.
Okay.
And Molly, the lady who just asked the question earlier, she replied, "Thanks, Marty."
Well, I appreciate you for asking the question.
And that's what we do here at Community Conversations. We bring in the guests and we allow them to talk to you, the listeners, because these people, they're responsible to you, the citizens. So this is your opportunity to ask them questions, let them know what is on your mind, and we have a dialogue and we have a discussion.
All right, Sheriff Marty, so we have a few moments left. So tell the people again about you, why you're running again, and, just why they should vote for you.
I've been with Craig County Sheriff's Office for almost 26 years now, serving the last 4 years as your sheriff. It's very humbling and very honoring to be able to do so. When you're elected by people, especially of a county as great as Craig County, I can't begin to tell you how humbling it is knowing that people put that faith in you and give you such an honor to be the top law enforcement officer in the county, and know that they have the faith in you to protect and serve them. I want to continue to do that. My passion is still for the people of this county and for the Craig County Sheriff's Office, and I believe we have a very professional organization that I'm proud of each and every person, and I can tell you that you have some of the best men and women in law enforcement today serving on your behalf, and I'm proud to be able to lead that department.
And once again, let them know how they can get in contact with you, any phone numbers, emails, social media, websites that you may want to get out there to the listeners.
Okay. We have a website. It's craigcountyso.org, where you can go and learn about the department and actually download applications if you're interested in going to work for us. We have a Facebook page. It's Craig County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. So please visit that. On our one thing I want to point out on our website, we have text alerts and things that you can sign up for, where you automatically get updated information when we send out reports from that. My office number is 870-933-4551, and I said, so several different ways to get a hold of me, and sometimes it takes a little while because I am a busy person.
We can say that
from experience. So don't give up on me, but I will try to get back with you.
All right, Sheriff Ward, we thank you for stopping by the studio. Once again, KLK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office. These interviews are provided for informational purposes only. You guys have a great and blessed day. We will see you tomorrow. This is KLK 102.5 FM.